have an Autobahn where you can go nuts and drive whatever speed you want.
You're jealous?
Very jealous. But I guess if you have common sense, then...
The Autobahn is the highway without speed limit. Well, it's like Autobahn is just a German word for highway.
Oh.
And on many parts of the German highway, we don't have a speed limit. So you can go how fast you want to.
That
puts trust in the driver.
Well, yeah, but that also makes sense that it's kind of hard to get your license in. Like compared to Canada, it's hard to get your license in, and they are actually training you to do that. Well, they're saying you should drive around 130. And if you want to go faster and it feels safe to you, then you can. But you can only pass someone on the left.
130?
Like kilometers?
Yeah.
It's pretty fast.
Is it?
That's really fast.
Because I think the max limit I've seen here is like 100.
100, yeah, I know. Like down to White Rock, it's a 90, I think. Like what is that highway?
130?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, obviously you can still go 110, but then you're on the very right and you shouldn't disturb anyone else.
Yeah.
Right.
Because sometimes there are like cars on the highway that are going like 300.
300?
Yeah, you barely see them.
My car doesn't do 300.
I didn't even know that was possible. What? You're like
I've never seen it. I've never been in the car.
I'd be terrified.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's honestly like it can get pretty dangerous. Because if you imagine like you're just in the process of passing someone right now, and then there's a car coming with 300, like they wouldn't even see you.
What?
No, it's...
Maybe I trust the people there, but certainly the drivers here, no. Don't ever let them drive 300 here.
Yeah, that's true. I've been used to that ever since. Like you don't even think about it. Like if your parents are going 160, 180, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, like 120 here is like
fast.
Over the speed limit and going way too fast.
You're going to get your car impounded.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, they're also like for example, when the highway is kind of close to a city, then they sometimes have a speed limit, or when they can see that they're like, obviously, there's some parts where it gets busier, and then they kind of regulate the speed limit because then like traffic would develop, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't want that to happen. So,
well, maybe we should get started.
Yeah.
Kristie, since you're a singer, sing the theme song for the podcast, and we'll just use that.
How does it go again? I only have the Good Morning Delview jingle, but I
love that jingle.
It's like all I know is at the end it's like radio and like this really weird tone, and that's all I know.
So you're co-hosting for the second time as a student co-host. I'm breaking records, Delview records. Once again, yeah. And we have Nele from Germany.
Yeah. Hi.
This is your second time on the podcast.
Yeah.
And this time without Martin. So we got rid of Martin, finally.
Finally. That's what you said.
Hopefully we'll get him on someday when he comes back. But you came back to visit after a while. How long were you gone for? You left last summer, right?
I think it's been 10 months since I left. So that's quite a long time to be, away from Canada.
So how's it been? You were in grade 12 here.
I was in grade 11 here.
You were in grade 11 here. Okay. So
But I mainly had grade 12 courses, and I had a lot of friends in grade 12. So
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's been pretty good. The summer in Germany was really nice. Mm-hmm. It was amazing coming back, seeing all my friends again, and meeting new people, and going out there and getting used to Germany again. And then school started. In Germany we only have 6 weeks of summer, so I came back right at the beginning of the summer. So that was pretty cool because I had 3 weeks here with my parents, and we were traveling around and going to Vancouver Island and to Whistler and then Alberta. So I got to see the country in a pretty new way, like Canada.
That's so cool. You do travel a lot. Is that
we're trying to?
That's something you've always done with your family?
Yeah, we've always tried to. Well, my parents always tried to make it possible for us to kind of see the world, like however it worked out. So we went to Singapore before, and Indonesia and South Africa. So yeah, it's been pretty fun so far.
It seems like as a nation, people love to travel in Germany.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because I've seen Germans everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, obviously within Europe, it's kind of easy to travel because you can take the train. You could even go by car. Like I have friends, they've been going down to Turkey within like they were just going by car, which is actually really insane. I think it's like a 30-hour ride, probably even more. Depends on where you want to go within Turkey.
Okay.
Well, or also some of my friends went to Spain by car, and that's like 2 days of driving. But yeah, it's fun, and then you can just see a different country, and that's pretty cool.
That's actually not. I could do like 15 hours at a time. That's my maximum. Like driving through the States.
Yeah,
because that's quite a long distance. Over
15 hours. That's a lot.
Too, right?
Getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they were switching up. I don't know, to be honest, but yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm back at school now in Germany. We're on Eastern break right now, so that's the reason why I can be here. And so I'm grade 12 now in Germany, which is one of the years that's already counting into my final mark of the graduation. So every exam I'm taking right now will count for my final graduation. So it's kind of important now that I'm performing well and that I'm engaged in school and everything.
So when you finish the courses here, those counted towards something in Germany?
Not really. They were just seen as accepted, and like because I was in school here, I didn't have to repeat the year. So, but the marks that I had here, they didn't count into anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny because I took Calculus 12 here, which is the hardest course here, right?
Yeah.
But, like only, there were like 2 Canadians and 4 other internationals. And it was like a really tough course. And then I came back to Germany, and everything that we did in Calculus was what we were doing in math then. So that's basically what like German schools requires you to do in high school for the basic math course.
Right.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
That's cool.
Glad I'm not in the German math system. That would be terrifying.
I'm sure.
It's not even
I'm
only
sure
the
you do
math
fine.
system, it's the school system overall.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough. No.
So, I mean, we talked a little bit about the differences you found between the Canadian and German school systems. But now that you've gone back, how do you feel about it in general? Because I know the German system, because I talked to somebody I met in Cuba who was from Germany. That's why I said there's a lot of German tourists, because I meet them all. And she was saying that she was in a high school stream towards medical school.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
well, so,
what?
for example, do you know Emma, the international student this year?
No, I don't, unfortunately.
She just said that, so in Germany, our final graduation would be the A level.
Okay.
And so you have a general A level, what I'm doing. So you're not specifying for anything. And then you can also do a general A level, but with a specification. So you could go, like, you could have some courses for business, for example, or for medical school, something like that. Or you could even do an A level, which is kind of like not considered as much. So with that graduation, you couldn't really go into university then. You could only do college, and like you couldn't become a doctor afterwards. But you can still go study and, get a bachelor or something.
So when do those decisions start?
When you go into high school. You have
as soon as you start.
Well, yeah, but high school starts usually grade 11.
Oh, okay.
So... yeah, so grade 10 is the last year of middle school, and then you go into grade 11 and then your high school. But that also kind of depends on the federal state you're living in, because sometimes grade 10 is already high school. It depends on whether you have 12 or 13 years of school, and that's different in each federal state.
Right.
Fun.
Yeah. Just like it's different here in different provinces.
True,
like
true.
Ontario used to have a grade 13 like you do now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you have grade 13?
Yeah, that's the reason why I'm not graduating this year, but next year.
What? That's wild.
It's crazy because one of my international friends, she's 16 now, and she goes to Seacom, and she's graduating this year. And so when I'm graduating, I will be 19 and she's 16. Well, that's also because she's Brazilian, and like she kind of, I didn't think she skipped a year in Brazil, but also because of the change of the school systems and then everything. That's crazy.
Interesting. So now that you're thinking about graduating, you mentioned that you want to go into international relations.
Yeah, that's my plan right now.
Can you talk about that a little bit? What does that mean, and what are you planning to do with that?
Also, that would be kind of figuring out how different cultures work together, and like also in kind of like a bigger system, and like also about politics and economy and that. So I'm trying to figure out like an exact way what I want to do, but that's my rough idea right now. And like for my master, because I know that I probably want to do a master, it's like getting more typical in Europe that people are doing a master. I know that here it's not super typical and you don't really need it. That's what I've heard. But it's definitely useful to do that in Europe, or at least in Germany. And so I was planning on going into sustainability afterwards and kind of try to find my way through that and getting more experience with that. Yeah.
So you planning to work for like places like the UN or in Geneva?
Yeah, that would be a good example. So, or also as an advisor for companies and trying to help them to be more sustainable or trying to reach their goals, because, well, that's a topic that's getting more popular. And yeah, so I think the time is kind of running for me, and I will definitely find a job in that kind of section.
So what got you started thinking about that? Like what planted that seed in your head about international relations? I mean, there's a lot going on in the world, yes, but I mean, like when you're thinking of a career, that's not a typical one.
Well, that's true, but also that was kind of part of what I've learned here, that I liked experience different cultures, and I liked meeting new people from Brazil, from Spain, from everywhere, and I kind of felt like it was easy for me to connect with those people and to meet them and to make friends in some way. So I thought, well, why don't I try to kind of include that into my career as well and try to work with people? And obviously that university program wouldn't really support that in a really big way, but I can make my way out of that, you know? So, yeah.
So it's all about understanding different cultures and how they work and how to get along.
Well, or also different connections within like systems in the world, like how economy works and like all they all and all that
affairs.
different countries and how the different ideas of culture work together. So that's a plan.
That's cool.
Well, maybe that will still probably change a little bit. But when I was here, I also tried to figure out that a little bit. And that was also what I found interesting back then. And then I kind of like researched again. And I still found it interesting. So I thought, well, that's really a thing that I like. And I see myself there. Because, you don't want to make a decision and then you don't like it anymore. And you're like, well, I'm going to study that now for the next 3 years.
Yeah. But yeah. And also once you get into it and you start learning more and making connections and talking to people, then it starts becoming your own thing, right?
Yeah. Also, one of my friends, she's studying business, and then she's going to go for her bachelor. So she's almost done with her bachelor now. And then she's going to do sustainability for her master, something like that. Which kind of brought me to the idea to do something more general first and then going into sustainability. Because in Germany, like I also saw that you guys here have a lot of environmental science, for example, to study for the bachelor already, but that's not super typical in Germany. You could find that, but then it's kind of hard to find a good program. And then there there are not that many programs that you can find for that. So yeah.
But also, like you being a world traveler, you can also go to university in different places in the world.
Well, that's true. That's true. It always kind of depends on the money, and well, because university in Germany is pretty cheap.
Right.
I wish.
And as an international university student, it would cost a lot more for you.
Even more, yeah. No. So that was also kind of like a big factor, and then I would be closer to my friends and family, and it's. Well, I've experienced living somewhere else and meeting new people and living in a different town, different city. So I've had that experience, and I also between my university and my high school, I am also planning on maybe going for another travel kind of thing. But I don't know yet if I want to do that only maybe a semester or like half a year or a whole year. We will see. Kind of depends on when the school starts, when the university starts. So yeah.
It's cool that you've traveled so much and actually planted yourself in a place like Canada, and because you learn to be adaptable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To deal with change, and that would be really important for international relations. But just wanted to go back to what you were talking about just before you left here, you said you went on a road trip around to Vancouver Island, Whistler, and those kinds of places.
Yeah.
What was that like, and what did you discover about the wilderness of BC?
So that was actually pretty cool because my German family came here and they kind of picked me up here, and then we were traveling around. So first I showed them Vancouver and Delta and the location where I was staying for the whole year. Mm-hmm. And then we went to Victoria first, and then we stayed, I think, one night in Victoria, and then we went up to Tofino. So, well, I've seen Victoria, but I've never seen Tofino, so that was pretty cool because then I could see it was a nice place. Like, have you been to Tofino?
I don't think I've been to Tofino.
I don't think I have either. If I did, it was when I was little.
Well, I loved it.
Me
It's
too.
like a surfer kind of town.
Yeah, it's a surf town.
And there were just like so many people, and like they all had the same kind of clothing style, and it just fit. Like it was just a vibe, and there were so many travelers and like campers, and I would definitely recommend going there, especially when you're still young, because like the people there, I liked it there. So then we went to Whistler, which I've been before in summer. No, in winter we were skiing there. So now I've also been there in summer, which was pretty cool, which I've never seen before.
It's fun in the summer.
Yeah, well, because in winter we were skiing, and then we could go mountain biking, which was really good.
Mm-hmm. Mountain biking, hiking. Mm-hmm.
Well, it was so surprising because we didn't even have that on our plan. Like we knew about it, but we didn't really realize that we could actually do it there. So when we got into the town and we were just like walking around, and then we saw the lift, and we heard the music, and we were like, what is going on here? And then my brother and I turned around the corner, and we saw all those people like with the mountain bikes going up the hill, and we were like, okay, we got to try that now.
So you rented a bike.
Yeah, we did. And we also took a lesson because we didn't really know how difficult it was because we've never done that before. So that was a lot of fun. I liked it. And I also wanted to do it again in Germany, but I don't know, it kind of didn't really work out. You can go mountain biking in Germany as well. But, yeah, there are also different things you can do. So, yeah.
And then you spent some time in Alberta.
Yeah, well, then we kind of made our way over to Alberta throughout the through the national parks. So we also spent some time in Jasper and in Banff, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Well, really touristy, but just a beautiful place.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of funny because Banff was the last stop, and then we drove to Raideo, which is the place where my brother had his exchange year. So it was...
That's a different exchange.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was so funny because first I could show all the areas that I've seen, and then he could show all, like, because he's been to Banff. Yeah, he's 2 years older. Oh, he's 2 years older. So he's been to Banff and to Jasper, and I've been to Whistler and Victoria, so I could show the places that I've been to, and then as we were making our way through the country, he could show the places where he's been to.
That's cool.
And that was pretty cool.
You don't have another sibling in Saskatchewan that you could go to next?
No, we're making our way through the country. No, I just have one brother. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then we saw Red Deer and where he stayed, and we met his host family. And so overall, it was an amazing trip. And I've seen many more, well, I would say like sides of the country, like because I've only seen Vancouver and the city and some parts of the nature, like Cyprus, like the local mountains, or Whistler, but that's not super naturey compared to the national parks. So yeah, that was amazing. I loved it.
And Germans love camping, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Well, many people in Germany do, but like as you said, Germans love traveling overall compared to other cultures probably, and that's true. You can meet Germans everywhere. Like when we were traveling to South Africa, there were so many Germans, and we went to Singapore, and there's so many Germans, and I don't mind it. It's kind of nice meeting your own culture in a different country, I think.
Well, it just also means that they're less ignorant about the world. They're out there exploring, and I mean, there's no better education than traveling to a different country and learning how they do things.
That's true. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah,
literally expand your worldview.
Well, and also when you're traveling to a different country, you get to know different ideas of how they're living, how they're seeing the world. It was actually kind of funny because some weeks ago in February, we did a school trip to Ireland.
Yeah.
So I went to Dublin and to Galway.
Well, that was a school trip. I didn't know.
That was so cool. And it was so funny because we stayed in Dublin, and our hostels, they weren't really super nice hostels. So in this one hostel, we had a bathroom for both genders.
Okay.
and we didn't mind. So we were just like,
That's pretty normal for a hostel.
well, yeah, that's true. But some of the girls didn't really like it, so
Yeah.
they just went into the one for only girls.
Right.
But we didn't mind. So we were going in there, and we were, I don't know, like we were just washing and cleaning our teeth and whatever. So this one guy walked in, and he saw that there were like 5 girls standing there, and he was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go to a different one." And then we're like, "Oh no, don't worry, that's fine." And so we kind of started talking, and he started talking about his story and that he's from China, and when he was 19, he moved away, and ever since he's traveling, and that was such an amazing talk. And I think we stood there standing, like we were standing there 2 hours and talked about life experience and about traveling and about everything.
Oh, wow.
And you wouldn't really have that type of conversation when you wouldn't go out there and meet new people. So that was one of my friends. She was really catched by that. Well, most of us were, or all of us were, but that was really cool.
Do a lot of your friends like to travel as well?
Yeah, most of them, I would say. Well, obviously there are people that like you always travel in a different way. So I would love to go backpacking and do on a lower budget, but some people rather stay in a hotel and maybe have the pool experience and just sitting on the pool and enjoying the sun, which is also fine. But I also like that type of vacation, but I wouldn't really like, I would prefer the other one first.
So you come from Germany, you've been to Canada, you've been to Singapore, you've been to Ireland. How many countries have you been to?
That's a good question. So yeah, so I think in grade 3, my parents kind of, because we were older then, and then my parents kind of started to go a little further than only within Germany. So, well, obviously within Europe, it's easier to travel because you can just go by car, like the French border, that's 2 hours away from my place. So, well, that like there's actually a school trip, like a day trip from my school that goes to Strasbourg, which is just a city across the border in France. So, well, yeah, I've been to France, I've been to Paris, Portugal, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Greece, Poland, Ireland, well, then South Africa, Indonesia, Singapore, Canada, America. I think that's it.
Wow.
But as I said, like I know that those are a lot of countries, but also, for example, Poland was a school trip as well. So many schools try to make it possible for the students to also travel and to get out of the country and to show them the world in somehow like an educative way. And well, also for example, with my school, we went on a skiing excursion in grade 7, and that was to Italy, for example. And that was like with the bus, maybe a 10-hour ride. Yeah.
Wow. 10 hours on a bus.
Yeah, that was intense. Actually, when we went to Poland, we went to Krakow.
Yeah.
And that was it was planned for 13-hour ride, and it ended up being, I think, 14 or 15 hours because we were stuck in the traffic. And then we also, because the bus drivers, they couldn't really go, like they always need to have a break after 2 hours. Well, at least in Germany, that's by law. And so they had to take breaks so often that it ended up being 14 hours in the bus. Yeah,
I would prefer a bus driver that takes a break.
True.
Or a nap.
True. That's true.
They don't crash the bus. Yeah, because 15 hours, that's 14 hours. That's a long time.
Well, and then also in a bus, it's not only in a car. Like I feel like that would be more difficult to drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool that you have school programs like that. Is that like a normal school program, or is it something that people sign up for, pay money? Like we do have like spring break trips here where they go to Europe or Asia or wherever.
Well, so it's definitely kind of like a normal school program, but you definitely have to pay for it as well. So for example, this trip to Ireland, they offered it to all of to everyone in the grade. And especially for the ones with an advanced English course, because in Germany you can kind of choose between if you want to have the basic English course or if you want to have it advanced. And so they were asking the ones with the advanced ones first. And so we could sign up, and then obviously we had to pay for it, and then we were elected. Like obviously also not everyone could go because there are like 3 advanced courses, and that would be maybe 60 people, and that's just not like there are not enough places to bring all of them to Ireland.
I guess understanding Irish accent in English would be advanced.
Yeah, it was kind of tough first. And we had this really funny bus driver because we were landing in Dublin, and then that's the only international airport in Ireland. So we went to Galway, which is like a 2 or 3 hour ride. And then we were also driving around Galway, and there's also a national park close by. So we also spent a day in the national park. So we had to have like a bus driver, and we were 30 people. And the bus driver was just so funny because he kept making kind of weird noises. And you
Like
know,
on
like
purpose?
in the bus, there's like, no, it was not on purpose. There's like the microphone in the bus, right? Just like we're talking right now. And usually they turn it off, but he didn't. And then he was like, shh, like that. And then he was like swearing because there was so much traffic. Or then he started talking to his son. And then they were like talking on the phone. And
funny.
you could listen to that. Like everyone in the bus could hear whatever his son and,
That's the
and
advanced
Mike
English.
was saying.
Yeah.
That's the advanced English
It's
experience.
a bonus English course.
And all of us just wanted to sleep so badly because we couldn't sleep at night because the hostel was so bad. And yeah, so we didn't
Like the
sleep.
beds were bad, or I guess people are in and out all the time, depending on
it was
which
not-
hostel.
Like the beds were pretty bad.
Yeah.
And for some part also kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
It was not really clean.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
Note to
And also
self.
our room was right towards the street, and we couldn't close the window properly.
oh.
And, Dublin, and also in Galway, there was the time where I think it was semester break. So many people came to Galway for like the semester break and were just drinking. And so as we were right in the city, there were many drunk people walking down the street, and that's what we've heard all night long, and all day long, and all.
Learn
all
lots of English words and lots of stuff in Irish.
Yeah,
They love their
probably.
pubs.
They do. Well, it's an experience. It's
Yeah.
definitely nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to Ireland. I'd like to go one day.
Yeah.
It looked beautiful from
Yeah.
your photos.
It was really nice. Well, the kind of sad part was that we were a little too early for the really nice season, I would say, because like, you know, in Ireland, usually everything is green. And that's also what Mike, our bus driver, said, that Ireland is green. So that's the color of the country. But we didn't really get to experience that because it was still too cold, and the grass, which would make everything green, only grows when it's above 6 degrees. But during the night, it wasn't, because we went there in February. So would have been nice to kind of be there a little later and to see that environment or that kind of scenery.
So it's
But it
kind of
just didn't work
brown-
out with our schedule.
Brown and gray.
Yeah, it was a lot of gray, but we were also a little luckier than probably others because we had fewer gray than usually. So we also had a lot of sunshine, which was really nice. And I think it rained just a little bit, not like here. Yeah.
Yeah, here it's rainy season pretty much all the time.
All the time,
I know.
24/7.
I know.
I love it here in the summer, though.
And today it's good, isn't
Yeah,
it?
today's not bad.
It was raining a lot this morning.
That's true, but then it kind of cleared up. And I was still sleeping when it was raining, so.
Well, spring break got me thinking about climate change a lot because I was in Los Angeles and Anaheim expecting great weather, because the previous times I've been there in spring break, I've been there quite a few times in spring break, and it's always been really warm, 32, 35 degrees sometimes. But this time it was freezing.
Yeah.
It was freezing. It was pouring all the time. So very different. And there's another student who went to Orlando. I saw her in the airport, actually, and saw her in the airport, and she was going to Orlando. I was like checking the weather. I was like, it looks pretty good in Orlando, but it turned out to be cold there too.
Yeah, there was also one, I still remember that pretty good one experience when we were driving through Canada. So that was, I think it was in Banff National Park, and we were going up to this one lake, and it was just a super long road, and it like no one was there. The scenery was beautiful, and suddenly the scenery changed, and all the trees were looking like they were burned, but it wasn't. They weren't burned. They were just this. It's like a bug. It's like a, I don't know how
A fungus?
I don't know. It's a bug that's surviving.
A bug?
Or is it?
It's like a beetle?
I don't remember the name. Is it a bug, or is it like some kind of insect that's not, well, because usually when the winters were colder, they would die. But as the winters are getting warmer, they're not. And so
Okay.
still have the chance to eat up all those trees. And so you could only see it. Well, as I said, it was looking like burned trees, but they weren't. So you could see all those dead trees, and it wouldn't stop. You were just driving down and like driving down that road, and it wouldn't stop. And I was sitting in the car, and like my hands were shaking. And I was like, okay, we have to change something. We actually have to do like to take action now and do something. And then it's making me just super sad when you're walking through Delta and you see at the side of the sidewalk, there's trash laying there. Why is there trash laying? Why don't you just take your trash and put it in a trash can?
There's a lot of things. The small things matter. And a lot of it has to do with culture and education and people just doing the right things. And then there's, like you said, international relations. Like everybody has to be doing it. It can't just be one country or one group of people. We have to find ways to make it meaningful for everybody.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you always need someone who's representing the good ideas and who's establishing them, but you also still need everyone to join, or most of the people to join, and to actually see the problem first, and then also go into action and do something. And well, I don't. It shouldn't be a normal thing to just dump your trash in the nature. That's not how it works. Like yesterday, my host sister and I went like down those stairs in the nature kind of thing. Like how are they called? Like, you know what I mean?
Is it the gully down there?
Yeah, my host family just calls them the stairs. Well, so we were it was like a kind of like a park, and we were walking there, and then there was a mattress laying. Why would you dump your mattress in the nature? That doesn't make sense to me. And then there always has to be a person who is picking that up again. So why are you dumping first?
I think it's because they think like, oh, it's because sometimes you have to pay for stuff like that to be thrown out. But still, like, I see that. It's
That's
like,
not a reason. Like you pay for a reason, and so you just to solve your problem by just tossing it into the nature. That's creating a way bigger problem than you paying this fee for getting rid of the mattress, for example.
I think the biggest problem is just people thinking that, oh, it's somebody else's issue, right? It's nothing to do with me. And
the ignorance.
By the time it gets back to them, it's too late, right?
Yeah, that's a problem.
So and that partly, I mean, I would say that's partly cultural as well. Like the fact that even at a school, you see there are some kids who
look around this room. There's so much trash laying here.
Yeah.
Why is there so much trash laying here?
At the end of the day, I was like, how come there's paper everywhere? Yeah,
because it's like, oh, I'm just one person. It's not my problem. Like, there's people here to clean it up. But it's like, no, come on. Like, you can clean up after yourself.
Yeah.
You learn that from a young age. So.
Well, you should have learned that.
You should have learned it from a young age.
Well, also, when I think about my school, we also have this kind of like it's like a room where everyone can just spend their spares and just spend their time and their breaks. And at the end of lunch, so we usually have, an hour and a half of class, then 15-minute break, and then, or 20-minute break, I think. 20, 15, I don't even know. And then an hour and a half of class, and then another 15-minute break, and then an hour and a half of class, and then we have lunch. So at that time of lunch, and then everyone eats, right? And they maybe have a lot of trash because they went to the supermarket and got something there, and they just don't throw it in the trash. I just don't get that. Why do you leave it there sitting on the table? Like maybe someone wants to work there and you're just making a huge mess. And that's not taking a lot to just get up and take it away. And that's the small things that you can see, and you could say, well, maybe there's going to be a person who's cleaning it up, but that's not always the case.
But that leads to the mattress being thrown in your gully or wherever.
Yeah,
because that's the mindset, right? Somebody else will take care of it, or somebody's been paid to take care of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've mentioned this story before, but I heard a long time ago about how in Japan the kids are responsible for cleaning everything. They don't really have custodians. The students, there's like a block of time during the day where since they're little in elementary, they learn to clean up, right? They wipe the whiteboard, they clean up the trash around the classroom. Also, like when you're walking around, there are no trash cans in the city.
Yeah, that's true.
Was really surprising to me. But the idea was that you take back whatever trash you made, and then you throw it away at home. You don't just dump it on somebody else.
Well, and even if they were trash cans, they shouldn't be a person who has to put your trash into the trash can. Like, if you just grabbed something and then you happen to have some trash in your hand now, or you like have a tissue or whatever, and you don't want to keep it, and there is a trash can, why do I just dump it on the floor then? Why don't I just put it away in the proper way? It doesn't make sense to me, but yeah.
I don't like it when it's, especially when there's trash, but it's like right beside a trash can. It's like you were so close.
It was literally ridiculous. So my hostess and I, the other day, we went to White Rock, and we were, was it with her? Yeah, I was with her. So we went to White Rock and we crossed by this one park, and there were 2 vapes laying down on the ground, and literally a meter away there was a trash can. I stopped to pick them up and throw them away. And she was like, that's ridiculous. Why do the people not just, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
But hopefully you can, we should all contribute to like fixing that. But with your international relations stuff, the way you're talking so passionately now, it's like, I don't have a doubt that you would, like, you're definitely going, if you want to pursue with that, like, I can see you doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's the little things that lead to larger behaviors.
Well, and that's important that people start talking about it, because it's been going on for a while now, and people are talking about it. But I feel like nothing is happening, and we actually have to, do actions now. We have to change something, and that starts by also changing the little things in your life, and consider probably not using as much plastic, and maybe, I don't know, buying the tomatoes without any plastic wrapping, and rather have them like without plastic.
Yeah, I just think that it's time to have like larger changes. Like, they got rid of plastic straws. I hate the paper straws, by the way. But
the paper straws.
That doesn't.
Okay, great.
Really,
now we don't have. Now we don't have plastic straws anymore. The world is still not saved.
Now we have a plastic cup
that's
with a
exactly
paper
my
straw.
point.
It's like, come on.
Sometimes,
wow, great.
Sometimes you see these actions that are political that make you feel like you're doing something, but it has no effect at all.
No, not at all. If you think about the pollution in the air and everything else, the plastic straws are probably not going to save the world. Well, they are not saving the world.
No. So,
yes, it's a step, and it's a thing that you can do, and you can try to prevent, but you have to do even more to do better, I think.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Because there's a lot of behaviors that need to be changed.
Yeah. And obviously, like, I feel like people in Germany, they're probably more aware of the environment. And also, if I think about tossing food, for example, my grandma, she is the generation who she turned 4 when the war was going on. So she's gone through, poverty, and she would never toss away any food. So whenever I would eat over at her house, she was always saying, well, you have to finish your plate, or at least if you're full, that's fine, but we're not tossing any food. You can eat the leftovers tomorrow. Or like, she would never toss any food. And then you're coming to Canada, and you see how some people, I'm not saying everyone, definitely not everyone, many people are aware of how to treat food, but then you kind of see how some people treat their food, and how they're just like, oh, whatever, like, I'm just going to toss it. Why are you tossing food? That doesn't make sense to me. No.
Or at least you compost it.
Yeah, exactly. You can use it in a different way. You don't have to.
Don't just chuck it.
Yeah.
I've seen, like, sometimes you're out and you see like drinks where it's like people left like the whole thing just like on like some random surface, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, but that's probably that's cultural.
People buy too much in the first place.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see, a whole shopping cart full of stuff that people buy from, and at Costco, you're forced to buy a lot of stuff in bulk.
I also think that's a huge problem. Well, for some part, for certain products, it can be a really good thing, because you're not having that much plastic. For example, if you have a huge jug of milk, then that can prevent a plastic waste kind of thing. But if you're not going through the milk, like if you just have it sitting in your fridge for 4 weeks and it's gotten bad, then that's not going to help you either, because you just wasted something else. So it kind of depends on how you're planning out your week, for example, like if you think about food. But that's the same thing for clothing and for shoes and like whatever you you could do that for everything, that you shouldn't waste anything, and you should try to think about your resources and try to minimize yourself in what you're using.
I feel like just in general, like a lot of the Western world is like mass producing stuff, and then it just gets chucked out so fast. Like if you think about the fashion industry, don't even get me started on the fashion industry. It goes so fast. Or there's food trends where people buy a lot and they don't use it, or they just get it so they can post like online or something, and then they just don't do anything with it, and it's such a huge waste. I feel like that there's got to be more laws surrounding that or something.
Well, and you could say, well, you couldn't really put any laws on that. Like you don't want to, because it's still, if people should be like, there's freedom still, right? Like you shouldn't, well, it's kind of like, I don't know, like we're all still free people, and we should all still have our own mind and be able to buy something. Like, I don't know how you put a law on that, like of preventing waste, but still there has to be a change. I don't know. That makes me sad.
If it's not laws, then probably like education or something.
So something has to change. Well,
these are tough problems, but one day you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I will figure it out.
Tell us what to do.
All by yourself. With many people.
With many people, yeah.
No, but seriously, a lot of these behavioral issues, and it's really behavioral, right? How you do things has to change.
Yeah.
That's the toughest thing to do.
Yeah, and
because if your whole family's doing a certain think of things a certain way, and then you start doing it a certain way, then it just continues forever.
Yeah, and you kind of start to adapt. That's what I've learned here. Like the ways that my host family did certain things, I started to adapt, and for some part I liked it, for some part I didn't. And then you kind of always have to ask yourself, what am I doing right now, and where do I actually want to go, and who am I in the end? And it's still hard though when you're having your decision and you want to do a certain thing and you're deciding not to waste any food, and then you want to tell the others and they're wasting food. How and there are 4 people in your family, and you're trying to tell them, well, guys, you maybe want to do that differently, and they already have their habits and their routine. How would you change that? And that's a tough one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's bigger changes that need to be made, like how a whole country does stuff, how companies do things. Right?
Well, because in the end, we can do so many things in our small kind of bubble, but in the end, also the bigger things have to change. And politics have to do something, and big companies have to do something. So,
well, I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot to think about and study, and, a lot of people you're going to meet along the way. Hopefully that will help you.
Inspiring people, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Have you talked to anybody about international? Like, do you know anybody who's doing something in that field?
Not
or in
directly,
sustainability?
Not directly into international relations. Well, as I said, I have this one friend, she's studying just basic business. So that sounded pretty interesting to me as well. But I kind of feel like it would be a little too dry for me, just doing business itself.
Yeah, and if it's business, the bottom line's still about money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a driver that you can manipulate as well.
Yeah,
like, is there a way to make money?
Yeah, well, for international relations, it's also including certain business strategics. Yeah. So it's kind of a good, I feel like it's a good combination out of many different things. And also how, social science, is that the word for it? So it kind of depends on the university as well, and what different courses they offer and how they define the program in the end. So I haven't figured out the university yet, but I feel like that's the direction where I want to go.
Yeah, social sciences, behavioral economics.
Yeah, and how everything kind of is connected and how different cultures work with that. Yeah.
There was a report that came out a few years ago, and it was pretty surprising because it was, I think it's run by a bunch of business leaders, and they basically laid out the fact that in terms of economics, it would be, you would make money by changing your ways and having things be sustainable. So start thinking about it, right? Companies have to start thinking about the future of the fact that, well, climate's going to change. We need to start changing what we do now Otherwise,
yeah, definitely. If you think about cars, for example, cars, like they're more electrical cars now than 20 years ago. So the industry has to change something. So there have to be people who are putting the change on the companies and who are, well, kind of pushing through, right? So you can make money with that now to offer more electrical opportunities or variations.
I think in that area, I think I've seen things change quite a lot. I have an electric vehicle, and a few years ago, 2018, I decided to get one as my next car because I was like, I'm just tired of paying so much for gasoline. That was the instigator, really. It was like, to save money, I'm going to get an electric vehicle, and also, the environmental piece as well. But I think for most people, it'll be saving money first and having the incentive, because we're all selfish. Let's just face it. And so after getting one, I realized, well, it's so much better to drive. It's like a fun driving experience. So there's a lot more than just like, you can't appeal to people's senses in terms of, let's save the world. If that doesn't do it, which is strange to think about, which it should, right?
Only me.
Then there has to be other ways to do it.
Should we do that all together?
Yeah.
It was funny. We had some month ago. So in Germany we also have electives between the fine arts. So we can choose between drama, music, and arts, and I'm into drama right now. So this one year I'm doing drama, and then we don't have to continue with that.
Oh, Turpin would be so proud of
but
you.
But it's not drama in sense of doing like a musical kind of thing or something. We just had to prepare like a thing, and then we had to present that. So in the end, our teacher kind of wanted to connect the 3 topics, which would be climate change, power, and what was the last one? What was the last one? I don't remember. So our group had the topic power, and then we were supposed to kind of show how you have power. And our final sentence in the drama was together we have the power, and we thought that was kind of inspiring. So it's pretty cool.
So it was a play that you put on?
Yeah, it was a play, and we played it in front of some parents and some other students. Not that many people came, which is not too bad.
You would have liked You're in Town. You're in Town is about like sustainability and and our future and like water consumption, but it's like comedy, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
That was good. I enjoyed it.
I liked the play last year as well. It was pretty good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's next for you?
Right now, today?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go to Tim's.
Like Tim Hortons?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, who's Tim?
Who's Tim? No. My best friend, Tim Hortons.
Really? Well, I guess I just take it for granted now.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It's a special thing for me because we don't have that in Germany. It's funny because I think there's one in London. And
Tim Hortons?
Yeah. And
really?
Yeah, and there's one or two in Spain, I think. Maybe also some in France. I don't exactly know about that. But we don't have any in Germany. And so it's really nice being back here and having a good coffee again.
So what does somebody from Germany get from Tim Hortons?
Usually it's just a coffee because I just like coffee. Or the other day I had an ice cap. I didn't really get that when I was here, but it was just, I don't know, like the memory. Some of my friends used to get that. I think one of my friends, I like the bagels. It was funny because when my parents came here, so my dad, he knew Tim Hortons pretty well. Yeah. Because he used to travel to Toronto and Detroit a lot for his work. Okay. And he always said he had a coffee double-double and then a bagel for breakfast. And so when we came to Canada, or when he told us about that, and also when my brother was here, he kept saying like, oh, you need to get a coffee double-double. And so when I came here, like I already knew, okay, I gotta go to Tim's. I really need to go. And it's for me, it's also kind of like a social kind of spot because the Tim's at 112, that's just where all the internationals met. And because it's right between all the schools, right? So we were spending a lot of time there because, after school, you don't really go to downtown or anything, but you still want to hang out. And because we didn't really study that much.
We'll cut that part out.
Different priorities. Yeah, so
that's
it's
cool.
a social spot, and it's an experience.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's like when I go to the States and I have to have like In-N-Out burger.
Oh yeah,
Like
Never
multiple times. Oh, you have to try it.
Never
one
had
day.
In-N-Out.
well, that's also funny because compared to Germany, there's so many more fast food chains. Like A&W, we don't have. DQ, we have Five Guys, but there are only few in Germany. And the one in Frankfurt is the city I'm living in. Well, close to Frankfurt. Five Guys was the first one. Like the Five Guys in Frankfurt was the first one in the whole Germany. So people actually travel to Frankfurt to get Five Guys.
Tourist attraction.
There are good burgers.
Well, compared to McDonald's, maybe. But, if you're going to an actual burger store, then you get good burgers, I would say. Yeah. We also don't have... What else do we don't have? Well, we have Burger King, McDonald's, Five Guys, and that's about it, I think.
You come from Europe, and you come for Tim Hortons coffee.
Well, honestly, the coffee itself doesn't even taste that good.
It's just the experience.
It's the experience. I like the cup, I like the color, and I like the vibe. And the memories that's giving me. So, and as I said, the bagels are good. The bagels are really good.
Yeah.
So if I went to Germany, what's like the number one popular food chain or whatnot?
Yeah, let's plan a trip to Germany.
Yeah, where am I going?
Okay, so the thing is, in Germany, we don't really have that many chains. As I said, we don't really have that much fast food. Like, it's obviously also getting more and more, and especially teenagers love to go to McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. But I rather have like a good, not necessarily traditional kind of food, but rather have something original and that you can really find everywhere, right? So definitely one of the really typical, more rather fast foodish would be kebab, döner. That's actually Turkish. Because we have so many Turkish people now in Germany. They kind of implemented that into the German culture, and everyone loves that. It's like a kind of like a bread kind of thing, and then they stuff salad and some meat in there, and then like tomatoes, and I think also cucumbers. And you can also get it without meat.
Like a doner?
Yeah, doner.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one that you can get here is pretty different. Like the bread they're making it in, like it's like that's probably more like a wrap,
still
right?
Meat on a spit.
Yeah. And like they cut it, right? Yeah. So the bread they're making it in is really different in Germany, and the way they're making it there is, I would say, is definitely better. It's more original. But that's a typical thing you could get. Well, it's not super German, but it's a thing that Germans eat super often. Yeah. And I love bread. I am eating bread every single day, and the bread in Germany is really different than the one here, because the bread that you guys have here, we consider toast, and we make a difference between bread and toast. So I know for you guys, when you have bread and then you toast it, and then it's a toast, right? Yeah, for us, it's toast. You toast it, it's still a toast.
So you're calling, like, you're saying toast here is like the loaf of bread that you slice and then you make sandwiches or whatever.
So the bread in Germany you couldn't really like punch into, like, you know how you can like squeeze it in.
It's like cobs.
Yeah, but better.
Probably, yeah.
But so they actually have like a crust, and you actually, it's funny, like maybe tomorrow you can ask some of the other Germans, and they will tell you they will probably have like a cutting machine for bread.
I'll get so hungry asking about it.
Yeah, I'm hungry right now, honestly. And it's like usually Germans eat a cold dinner. So my family, for example, we usually have bread for dinner. So we would just have bread and then like put a spread on it, maybe some butter, and then like maybe some cheese or something else, and then you have that, and that's amazing. Yeah, so that's like a thing that people do, but you wouldn't really get that in the store. Like you couldn't really, like, you know, you wouldn't go into a restaurant and eat bread there. Yeah. We do have a lot of bakeries, and you can just go there and, you know, like pretzels.
Yeah. But like the soft ones.
No, just pretzels.
Yeah, the soft ones.
That's really typical in Germany. Yeah. They're baked real. They're baked kind of like a. Right? Yeah, they're kind of like a. Well, they usually they're like that big.
They're
sometimes
like bread.
Yeah, different texture though and a different taste, I would say. And also we have so many different types of bread. Like you can get like a bread with many seeds or just without, and like it's crazy. If you're coming to Germany one day, you should just try it.
Oh, for sure.
And we also
On a
do
whole
have
day.
different buns. Like they are also more crusty kind of. And many people have that for breakfast, and then they would put some jam on it or honey or Nutella or whatever. So that's one
Similar
thing,
to breads in France.
like the baguette, you mean?
Yeah, they have baguettes, but like baguettes are longer. and
France has
thinner,
like
but-
whole bread shops though.
Yeah, we do that as well.
So
like a
you-
bakery.
okay.
I love
Yeah.
those. Like, I mean, there's certain bakeries here where you can. But people
I know.
make those.
Well,
where it's, like, nice and crusty.
do you guys know the German Deli at 112?
No, I don't.
They have actually German bread.
Yeah.
Like if you want to
Good
try
stuff?
German bread, you can go there and you
Okay.
can taste it. You need a really sharp knife to cut it though.
Note taken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and also another German thing, like traditional German thing, would be Schnitzel, which is like a meat kind of thing, and then they put like a panade, like a crust on it. That's super typical, and also, well, there are also some other certain things. Like in Frankfurt, we have this dish called Handkäse, which like the translation of that would be hand cheese, but it's a special type of cheese, and they like put it into, I think it's vinegar they're putting that into, and they're like letting it soak for a night or so, and then you eat that with bread, and the taste can be weird, but many people like that.
Do you take cheese?
Kind of pickle it, but like just mildly.
Yeah, I think it's similar to pickling
Pickle
it,
cheese.
but I don't think it's
Does it get
only
really
vinegar you're
hard
putting that in.
when
Is
you
that
soak
oil?
it in vinegar?
I
like,
think it's
how does it
vinegar
change?
and oil. Well, it
Okay.
doesn't change it. It's just like going to be soaked a little, like marinade.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. And then you like have your bread, and then you put butter on that, and then you like slice the cheese up, and then.
I would love to try that
Yeah.
because I like food.
Well, the thing is, like even Germans from my city, they don't like that.
Yeah.
Like there are people that like it, there are people that don't.
Of course.
So, obviously.
We'd have to try it
Yeah.
to find out.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah.
What are your favorite European countries besides Germany? Like that
That's
you've
a
been
tough
to?
question.
Rank them. Go. No, I'm just kidding.
all right, let's go. So I do love Austria. My grandpa is from Austria, so my parents took me skiing when I was 3. So I've learned skiing when I was 3 years old, and I think it's the same for my brother. I think he also learned skiing when he was 3. So
You're a good skier then.
probably.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going skiing once a year, so I don't have that much practice, but well, it's still like I know how to ski. Yeah.
Because you learned at an early age when
that's
you
true.
weren't afraid to take risks.
Oh yeah. So Austria itself, well, we went there once in summer, but that was only like a one night kind of stay because we visited the family because it's my dad's side, and we visited the family for the first time. So we stayed there one night and we were having a dinner with them. It was really nice, but we didn't really get to see the area a lot. We were just spending the time there with them. And usually we're spending our time in winter there. So not in summer, in winter, and skiing in mountains. And that's pretty cool. I like Austria. Well, and then also the total contrary to that would be Spain, for example, which is the heat, and you can, you could just go to the beach, and that's a really nice area as well. And obviously, it also kind of depends on what part of the country you're in. Like if you're going to a city, that's going to be different than when you're going to the beach, like to the outer areas. But I would say those two countries are pretty nice. Those are the basic ones, I would say. But
So Spain would be where you would go for, like, do a lot of Germans go, like if you want to lie on a beach,
yeah,
be like southern Spain?
That would be an option, but there's
Because
so
here
many
it'd be
more
like,
options.
okay, we're going to Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. Like
Everybody goes to
Canadians
Hawaii.
here, they either
Yeah.
go to Hawaii or Mexico.
Right.
But the thing is, in Europe, we have many more options than that, right? So also Germans really like to go to Croatia, for example, because it's comparably
I want to go
cheap
there one
there.
day. Yeah.
Like you can probably, well, obviously it's also gotten more expensive now, but like it's still cheaper than other
Right.
countries. Also Greece is a really nice area as well. Well, France can be nice as well. Italy, before I came to Canada last year, the year before, my family and I were traveling through Italy, so that was pretty cool. And but I would say Italy, you really have to go really south to see nice beaches, because the parts that we saw, because we were rather in the northern part of Italy, the parts that we saw, there were nice beaches, but they were also really crowded and really packed because there were so many tourists and the locals as well. But yeah, Europe has many options to travel to.
There's an idea for you, like a European.
Yeah.
Well, the cool
backpacking
thing
trip.
about Europe is you can just get one of those Interrail tickets, and then you can,
Yeah.
and then you can say, well, okay, you want to travel a whole month, and then you can get like a month ticket. That's going to be kind of expensive, but you like the experience you're getting out of that that's unbelievable. I would say you can like, there are different types of passes and tickets you can get. And then you can travel. You can say, okay, I only want to travel 5 days in a whole month. So that's like 5 traveling days. And then you can use that as a start, and you can get more, like, And it's kind of easier to get around because we have more trains between the countries. Well, because everything is close. But the German trains are a joke themselves.
Really? Isn't there
that's
high
a
speed?
running joke between within the country, because the German trains at Deutsche Bahn is always late. Always.
Oh.
Really?
And yeah,
That's
it's
un-German.
always a struggle to travel.
That's very un-German.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of.
You have high speed rail too, right?
Yes, but yeah.
I think most countries in
technically
Europe
we
do.
do. Yeah.
Are they faster than the cars? I mean,
Oh yeah, faster.
Yeah.
They are, but there are like sometimes issues, and then they don't use their high speed, and then just like going super slow.
Yeah, because some of those like in I know in Japan, I rode
they're bullet trains.
TGV trains in France. Yeah, they can go up to like 300 kilometers an hour.
The
average
bullet
car in
train.
Germany.
Yeah.
Not an average
Not
car.
average.
Yeah. They're fast. But yeah. Start planning, Kristie.
I need to start planning.
You need to start
Darn it.
saving.
Just come to Frankfurt first. You can
After
stay at my place.
university, with
Yeah,
what
that's-
money I have left.
Yeah.
So none after your guys' university.
I'll come visit you. I'll be
Sounds
like,
like a plan.
hey,
That sounds like
long
a plan.
time no see.
You're
Like,
always welcome.
I can be your international student.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. Go on a Europe trip.
Yeah.
That used to be a big thing here. I know a lot of my cousins did that. Like backpack.
Yeah.
I'm going to Europe. I don't know where I'm going yet.
Yeah.
But
just get a
train
ticket and then,
train ticket and just
yeah.
land where you land.
Well, as I think as it is getting more expensive now, that's kind of you can need to plan it out more because you have to really look after your money now. Well, but that's the same thing over the world.
I talked to one guy a long time ago where, like he said, in the 70s and 80s, he would backpack around Europe and he'd pay for it by giving blood.
What?
Oh, okay.
So there were certain places that he went to. I think he was talking about Turkey and Greece, and he was like giving blood and making tons of money off of his blood.
Blood
And-
monopoly?
Well, you can also sell your liver.
I guess you could do that. It'll regenerate.
Why did my first thought go to vampires? When you said blood, I was like, what in the world?
Maybe he was part of a vampire cult. Who
Don't
knows?
know. I mean, if I went to Europe, I would want to go to France too, but because I'm learning French. But at the same time, I've heard that in France, it like if you're not a native speaker, they really just kind of laugh at you.
Well, when I
That's
went
true.
to Paris with my parents, so I'm taking Spanish in school, so I don't know a lot of French. Like I could say baguette. Je m'appelle Nele.
So can I.
That's helpful already, but it's not going to get you anywhere. So I remember that my parents kind of like tried their best to figure out, like whenever we needed to talk to someone and we wanted to buy something, and they just wouldn't talk English, and that was in the capital city of the country. So I was shocked by that because I've never experienced that before. Because whenever we were going around, or you coming to a different place, to a different city, to a different country, people try to communicate with you, and people try to talk English or talk a language that you can understand. They just didn't. Yeah,
And I think they get crankier at certain times of the year too, because sometimes there's too many tourists and they lose their patience. That's happened to me.
yeah.
Yeah, because I've been to Paris 3 times
Oh, wow.
with my wife, and she's fluent in French. She teaches French here, and she learned Parisian French, not Quebecois French. So her accent's different, and she got us stuff. Like we would be at a restaurant, and we'd look at our menu, and then we'd look over at the Americans next to our table, and they'd have a completely different menu. I was like, this can't be true. This is actually true. Well, it's actually true.
That's the thing about like the tourist things, because like, for example, if you go to Spain or Italy and they have those tourist kind of places where like it's just basically nowadays it actually exists that they're like tourist cities. So there's too many hotels, I would say. And then all these tourists are coming out for the night and they want to have dinner. So you have these restaurants where like people are standing on the street and they trying to get you into the restaurant and be like, hey, like look at this menu. And then kind of in my family, we kind of had this rule: whenever we're seeing a German word on the menu, that can't be a good restaurant, because why would an Italian restaurant offer something in German? That's not how it should work. So whenever or also this one time we had this one girl, she was standing in front of the restaurant and was like talking to people in order to like get them to the restaurant and get them to sit down. And then she started talking German to us. And we were like, we're in Italy. That's weird. That's weird right now. Like
that's a red flag.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah,
we ended up eating there though.
Oh, you did?
Because we were hungry and we were like, okay, we don't want to search that.
I think in Italy, the worst tourist trap I felt was in Venice and in the St. Mark's Square. Like all those places you want to stay away from. Except the ice cream shop. That was good. Like gelato. But yeah, it's more expensive. Plus, I remember sitting down at one place and all they had on the menu was spaghetti. I was like, doesn't seem very Italian, right? Like American spaghetti. So I was like, this, let's just go. So we left. And then we only found a decent place after we actually asked a local on a bridge somewhere. And she said, yeah, there's this one place, but you'll have to find it.
Around the corner.
Yeah, it's like literally, you've been to Venice? Yeah. So,
a while ago, though.
So you get lost everywhere, right? So
yeah, that's true.
You have to get lost a few times, and then you end up bumping into this one dark corner in the shadows. And then that's where we ended up having our best meal in Venice, because it was so hard to find a non-touristy place where they just gave you macaroni and cheese. Right?
Mac and cheese, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's the good part about traveling. I think if you're actually going out there and meeting people, or like you should be scared of talking to people and asking the locals questions, and then you get to know those places.
Yeah. I think that's what you learn too. Otherwise, you get the short end of the stick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's what I've learned here, to approach people and to be open and
be open.
Yeah.
You get otherwise you just get the tourist surface level.
Yeah, and you can still say you've been to the country, but I don't know if you can actually say you've experienced the culture and you've heard stories and something like that.
Yeah. I don't know what surface level Canada would look like.
Like the tourist Canada?
Yeah, I don't really know.
I think that's hard. That's hard, honestly.
But that's also because Canada isn't like one defined culture. Like
exactly,
there's many, which is good for like your job too. If you want to meet like lots of different people. I mean, there's like tons of people here that are just like from all over the place.
That's what I've experienced when like last year when I was spending more time here, that I felt like, especially Vancouver and the greater Vancouver area, you just have everything. Like when you think about what is the Canadian culture here, there is no, like the Canadian culture would be everything.
Tim Hortons.
Well, yeah.
Tim Hortons and maple syrup.
And hockey.
That would probably the outer surface, like the one you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
But if you go deep down there and you actually want to meet the people, then you have to go to the school or you have to start talking to the people. Yeah.
And it's easier to research those things nowadays. Like when you look online to search for, what are some of the better restaurants that we can find around here? Or, I'm not just talking about Yelp reviews, but I mean, there's that. Like I've been to places where I don't know where to go. So you look it up and you have more success that way nowadays.
That's true. Well, that's how we found all of our activities, basically. Because obviously, like, some people were like, oh, you should do that and you should go to Cypress Mountain. But then we were like, how are we supposed to get there without a car? So we kind of had to figure out what we could do without having a car and without driving. So we, like, when I was spending my exchange year here, we had to do everything by bus, basically. So we actually went up to Lynn Canyon by bus. It was like an hour. Like, I think it took us 2 hours to get there. Do you also know the Riverdale Diner in, I don't even remember how this city was called, 4 hours by bus. Yeah.
4 hours?
Yeah. Well, because the connection was so bad.
Okay.
And then we also missed some buses.
Is that in Langley, the Riverdale Diner?
I think it's further than
I never
that.
watched Riverdale.
I think it's further.
I watched like an episode.
It was actually also, it was not the Compass Card anymore.
Oh.
It was like Abbotsford or what?
Abbotsford. Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, I think we were in Abbotsford at one point.
Okay.
Yeah, so 4 hours to get there, 4 hours to get back, and then we just had food, and then we went back.
Was it good?
I liked it. Yeah, I had some poutine.
Good.
Another staple of Canadian culture.
Yeah,
Poutine.
poutine. That's actually the first meal that I had when I went out, like when I came back. Poutine. Yeah.
That's the nice thing about being a tourist, because as a local, okay, Riverdale, but am I going to make it all the way out there just to do that?
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas when I'm in a different country or place, you make an effort.
That's true. Yeah. Well, also because I felt like when I was here, most of the Canadians, they wouldn't really go out a lot. Like they would stay around the area, maybe go to downtown, but not more than that. And when I think about it in Germany, it's the same for me. I'm super busy with my school. I'm busy with like dancing and my hobbies, and then I'm working as well. And I'm like, how would I be a tourist now? Because I'm already busy. So
especially since you have grade 13, they don't give you a break.
That's true.
Are you still dancing?
Yeah, I am. I'm dancing in 2 different dancing groups. It's like a carnival kind of club. So there's this one
Carnival.
Yeah, we have carnival in Germany as well. Some areas of Germany that have. So in the northern part, they don't really have that, and also in the southern part, they don't. But as I'm in the center, do you know like Cologne?
What kind of carnival are we talking about?
Like during February.
Like parades in the streets?
Yeah.
Carnival?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that, and really, really many drunk people everywhere. Yeah, so do you know the city Cologne?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically the center of Carnival. Like that's where the actual Carnival takes place, but around the area. And like Frankfurt is 2 hours away from Cologne. So the further you go away from there, the fewer you get, I would say, like Carnival wise. And there are also in German, we have different words for that. And so, for example, in Cologne, they actually call it Carnival. But where I live, we have a different word for that. But the translation is always the same. Yeah. So
as a carnival dancer, what does that mean?
Well, that's like a typical German. It's called Garde, and we have those like dresses on with a skirt, and then like raising our legs and
bright costumes.
Yeah.
Feathery.
Not feathery.
No,
not. It's not Rio.
Okay.
It's Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm also dancing in a dancing group, which is kind of like musical-ish, but we're not dancing. It's like a mixture out of jazz and musical theater kind of thing. We're always having kind of like a storyline, and then we want to get a message across. So yeah,
it's like ballet, but in a different style. Like ballet.
Yeah, it's like not ballet, like not like in a tutu.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I'm not well versed in like dance shows, but like ballet, you see like the Nutcracker, and they have like, I don't know, they have like plots where you tell the story through.
We definitely do tell a story. Yeah. It's like the dancing style is kind of just the dancing style of my coach, and so there's no specification on that. But yeah, I like it. It's a lot of fun, and those are I've been in that club ever since. Because I don't know if you talked about that the last time, but in Germany, like at school, we don't really have sports. We don't have sports teams or anything. So whenever you want to go and play in a team, you have to go to a club. That's what people usually do. And so I decided when I was young, I just started dancing, and now I'm in that club ever since. And it's kind of nice because you're staying with the same people all the time. Unlike here, like the teams are always switching, right? And you can make friends and you do make friends, but like next year it could be different because then the grade 12s left and then it's just a different group of people and you wouldn't stick together. And that's the nice part about having a club outside of school, because everyone also decides actively to go there and not, like people are also probably more passionate about it because they're sparing their free time on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Whereas here it's good that we have the experience to do it for free.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're still paying money though.
Yeah, you're still paying for uniforms and
and I think
stuff,
like clubs are not expensive in Germany usually. Yeah. Well, if you want to play let's say soccer is super typical in Germany. So if you like lower class soccer, if you're like not too qualified, then you shouldn't be paying too much.
Yeah.
If you want to play higher qualified, then probably, but you can definitely find clubs for a lower budget kind of thing.
Yeah. But I think here in public schools, it really depends on the school in terms of running sports, because Delview, it's very difficult because we're such a small school.
Yeah.
So like your soccer team, our girls soccer team, frequently they don't have enough people to even play a game.
Well, also last year they didn't have a male volleyball team, for example.
Right. Yeah, so sometimes it just doesn't run because there's just not enough people. And then when you have enough people, everybody goes through a selection process. Yeah. But basically, we want everybody because otherwise there's not enough people. So I think at a larger school, it might be different. Definitely a little bit different.
It's like Siakam or ND.
Right.
They have different types. Well, they have more people to choose from, and so they're probably also better than we could.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's difficult.
We don't even have there's some schools. It's typically an American thing, but football. I know there's some schools in BC that do have football, but I just think where would Delview get the budget for that?
No.
Yeah, you go to every American school. It's like, oh, they have a stadium at this high school.
You have a stadium and an auditorium.
They even have stairs.
And people, there's
elevators.
Like high school sports is huge.
Yeah.
People pay money to go watch, and some of them are broadcast on television.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a different thing.
Well, it was cool. Last year we went to the basketball playoffs in Langley, and that was pretty cool to watch because the people that the teenagers, they were so talented.
Yes.
And, it's a really nice opportunity if you are starting off in high school and you're just doing it because your friends are doing it. And then you suddenly see that you have a talent and then you can just kind of go with the flow. And so that's a really nice thing about the high school sports.
Right. That's what I meant by you can try different sports for free while you're in high school. Right. And
and also it kind of enables you to invest your time into different sports. So for example, if you're playing soccer in Germany, you have the full season, the whole year long. I think they only have a summer break, but besides that, it's going on. And so if you also want to try basketball at the same time, you probably wouldn't even have the time for that because there are the games on the weekend, and it would collide probably. And if you also wanted to try volleyball at the same time, that's not going to work out. So in that case, high school is pretty good because you can just the seasons are spread out, so you can try everything and then see what's best for you or what you like best.
Right. Yeah. All right. So it was nice to see you again.
Yeah,
and it was really so cool when you DM'd me on Instagram and said that I'm coming back. Can I do an interview? I'm like, of course.
Well, I didn't know if that would come weird because, I'm inviting myself.
Oh, other people have done that too. No, it's great. I invite that.
I don't think you would say no.
That's true.
No, I would never say no.
It's not in character for you.
But it was good to have this follow-up because it's you're heading into some interesting territory by graduating and getting into something really interesting, international relations. And I wish you all the best with that. Keep in touch, and maybe we'll do another one at some point.
My host was already saying, because last year I got to go up to Lake Timothy. I think I talked about that.
Yes.
episode. And it was just like a private kind of lakeish, and we were having fun there. So this year I couldn't go because obviously I wasn't in the country anymore. And then he was like, well, Nele, so next year you're coming with us to Timothy. It was really cute. I was really happy about that.
Well, at least you know that if when you come back here, you have people here.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Well, probably I think now it's also been easier because the grade 11s last year, they're still here because they're grade 12s now. And those were also most of my friends. Mm-hmm. And when all of them graduated, I don't have anyone in school anymore. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the teachers are probably still going to be here and I can still see the people, but then I will have different things to do around here.
Yep, for sure. But you're adaptable.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to be.
All right. Thanks, Nele.
Thank you.
It's been really good.